Hello and welcome to A Star to Steer Her By. I am Caitlin, and with me today are...
Jake.
Chris.
James.
And Liz.
And Liz.
Darth.
I'm
Liz.
here.
Thank
Hello.
you, Liz.
Thank you.
Well, I don't think we usually jump into the names so quickly, but I feel like we haven't introduced ourselves at all this entire show.
Yeah, I was
We've
really
been
impressed.
forgetting here and there.
Yeah.
So we did it. It's happened
You kept
just
fucking
now.
that part up.
You know us. So, that's us, and we're here to discuss, I don't know, the Revenge of the Sith, episode 3, Star Wars, episode 3, Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, you got there.
There's gonna be some Sith, and there's gonna be some revenging. Though, I feel like Revenge of the Sith is not an apt name.
None of them are.
Well, it's
What are they
because
avenging?
the name. So here's the thing, right? So
Yeah.
the name is a fucking meta in joke.
Yes.
Because,
Yeah, because of Revenge of the Jedi. But
So
it's fucking stupid. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
well,
no
you know
shit.
what
Makes
though?
no sense.
If you're living by George Lucas's view, I guess it rhymes or something. What a stupid fuck.
I mean, I
Literally
guess
the
technically
opposite
they're revenging, like, their near extinction at the hands of the Jedi thousands of years ago.
That's stupid. I feel like revenge might be a dish best served cold, but not,
This cold?
rotten.
Mm.
Not
I
like
mean, really, it
desiccated
was-
and worm eaten.
Anakin getting revenge for not being allowed on the rank of master.
It's the revenge against all
Oh
the
my
sand.
god, what a fucking little bitch. Everything about this movie.
I'm not a man.
It's funny. I had thought to myself, oh yeah, but Revenge of the Sith, that's like the good one, right? Kinda. And I mean, I guess in some ways, sort of yes. Like I
It's
would
not
say,
the worst one.
yeah. Well, I would say of the three, it might be the best, but. Anyway, what happens in this movie? God, lots and lots and lots of set pieces that are too long and boring.
Oh, they
Like-
just sit around in rooms and talk.
Yeah, unless they're flying around shooting shit for 3 hours. Also, okay, so let's just see. Let's just summarize really briefly what happened in this movie, because I can definitely do that briefly,
I believe in you.
succinctly, clearly, concisely.
You're the chosen one.
Oh no. Okay, so Count Dooku. They're still after Count Dooku, and now Count Dooku's got a new friend named General Grievous, who, man, if anyone was more machine now than man, it's General Grievous. And for some reason, when they replaced all of the rest of his body with, like mechs and armor, or like fucking gears and fucking whatever, steam powered, who knows what's, they didn't replace his fucking lungs, because his bitch sounds like he has COVID the whole fucking time. Someone give that man a new fucking something. Get him a respirator, get him a bellows, strap a couple of bellows to his fucking lungs. Like, just get out of here. I hate it. Hate it. Also, at first he sounds like Eastern European, and then he kind of sounds Scottish. What the fuck is going on with Grievous? Anyway, it doesn't matter, because even though he has 6 fucking arms, Grievous is made to look like a whole fucking bitch. But we will get there later, because that's much later in the movie. That's at least at the 6-hour mark.
A bitch for each arm.
Yeah, well, and television's the box they buried it in. Dun, 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 dun. Anyway, so... Anyway, but what is a sentence? Where does a sentence start? How do you know?
Don't ask George
I don't know.
Lucas, because he'll write you bad
No
dialogue.
idea.
It rhymes.
He thinks that fucking Darth Sidious going good like 10 times is a sentence. So he's fucking brilliant. So anyway, okay, Grievous, Dooku. All right, Anakin chops off Dooku's motherfucking head, and that is like the real beginning of the end, because he is going to be a goddamn Sith Lord.
No, it's the beginning of the movie.
However, no, it's like 30 minutes into it. I'm telling you.
No, it's like 20 minutes, and 30 minutes is when.
I'm
Grievous
sorry.
lands on-
20 minutes, a much more reasonable.
It's
Anyway.
after the first. It's in the first
Guys,
chapter.
I know it felt like about 75 hours long. It's
It
only
did.
a 2 hour and 20 minute movie.
Shocking.
20 minutes
Yeah,
in
that's
is like
what
a
shocked me the
non-trivial
most.
amount of time, is all I'm saying.
Hold on. Okay, we keep interrupting this summary.
Okay,
So,
please continue.
Let's
Okay,
let's
so
just get
he
this
chops
over with.
off. Okay, Anakin chops off Dooku's head, and saves the Chancellor and Obi-Wan from Grievous. They escape. The Jedi Council doesn't seem to be too fucking bothered by the fact that he scissor cut the head of a completely unarmed and helpless man off. They're kind of like, good job, Anakin. Oh, thanks, guys. They don't seem to care about that. Bunch of fucking people. Search your feelings, the dark side this, the dark side that. You don't think scissor chopping someone's fucking head off is a little evil, but okay. Anyway, so the Chancellor has been, awarded fucking Emperor Dictator for Life status.
Well, not yet.
Well, he's gonna be, and they keep giving him more and more power.
Yes.
And he's like, well, as my first command as ruler of the universe, I want little Annie on the Jedi Council so that he can do my bidding. And the Jedi Council's like, okay, he can be on the council, but he's not a master. And Anakin has a cry. And Obi-Wan's like, don't be a bitch. And Anakin's like, but it's all I know, and I learned from watching you. As a side note, people sort of celebrate Ewan McGregor in this film like he's good. He's not good. Ewan McGregor is also bad in this movie. Everything is bad in this movie. Ewan McGregor, not good. If this was all I ever saw Ewan McGregor in, I would say, wow, he's also shit.
Ian McDiarmid is great, and I will not hear otherwise.
Ian McDiarmid?
The Emperor.
I'm not talking about Ian McDiarmid. Talking about Ewan McGregor.
Yeah, you said everything's bad. I say he's good.
Hey, more like Ewan McGregor, am I right?
Yes,
Ha-ha!
you actually are right. Anyway, okay, chop off a head, he's on the council, but he's not a master, and the council's like, if you want to be a master so bad, why don't you spy on the Chancellor? And for some reason, Anakin's like, no, because he tells me I'm pretty, and I don't want to spy on him. Oh, and Padme's pregnant, by the way.
Oh, I forgot Padme was in this movie.
Yeah,
she's
me
really
too.
not.
You know why? Because she's been fucking reduced to a fucking incubator who gives up on everything because the little asshole that accidentally put a couple of babies in her is a dick, so she just dies. Why? Because she gives up. She just doesn't want to live, guys. That's what it's like to be loved by Anakin. If you can't have Anakin, why would you want to live? I mean,
question.
even, here's the thing. As a side note to the summary, we haven't
This
gotten
is
to
the
this end of
summary. Jesus God.
Yeah, this is still the summary. Padme
Doing great.
dies, and here's the thing. She's already been reduced to baby incubator, but if she's been reduced to baby incubator, then she should live for those babies. It should be like, everything else is ruined and my life is terrible and I wish I could die, but I'm going to live for my children.
Okay,
That's
we'll
what
come
she
back
should
to
have
this
done.
when we're not in
but
the summary.
instead, it's all about the man. Hate this fucking movie. Anyway, Padme's pregnant. The Chancellor's bad. He's like, hey, let's see. So Anakin wakes up and he has like a nightmare about Padme dying, and Palpatine, Sidious, whatever the fuck is Senator Dickhead is like, there once...
Was a man from Nantucket.
There once... I really want to try to write a limerick now. There once was a Sith from Nantucket.
We'll never
Anyway,
finish
Wrap it
that.
up. Let's wrap it up.
I'll write it later. Anyway, so he's like, hey, did you know that the Siths know how to keep people from dying? Isn't that be great if you could keep the people you love from dying? And Anakin's like, oh my god, that would so be great.
What a coinky dink.
Meanwhile, I don't even know. Obi-Wan goes to track down Grievous, and it's like him and his lizard bird against, I don't know, 9,000 droids and a Grievous and who knows what the fuck else. He jumps in, he announces himself with his famous hello there, and then, again, as I mentioned earlier, makes a complete bitch of Grievous. Grievous is like, I know a little something about your fucking Jedi tactics, whips out 45,000 lightsabers and starts helicoptering them. Don't understand which Jedi would have taught him that, but fine. And gets
Yoda.
fucking limb after limb after limb after limb hacked off like a bitch. You didn't learn anything. You were terrible.
Or as you put it, like the Black Knight from Monty Python.
Yeah, seriously, I really hope that someone has made that comparison, because Grievous is like, it's a fucking flesh wound, and Ian McGregor's like, literally every limb you have is totally gone, and you're spider crawling on the floor, which was really creepy, actually. That had some exorcist vibes. That going down the stairs bit, ugh, gross. Anyway, Ewan McGregor saves the day, I guess, but he's too late because Anakin is, I don't know, murdering younglings and burning down Jedi temples, and I don't know. Ewan McGregor shows up just in time to fucking have the high ground. Thank God. And wouldn't even piss on Anakin Skywalker if he was on fire. Literally, we find out. Oh, I skipped the whole thing, too.
no.
That's
Go
okay.
back.
It's okay that you skipped it.
Order 66.
Sidious, he killed everybody. Sidious killed everybody. Fucking 18,000 Jedis showed up to fight him, and he killed every single fucking one of them.
Especially Kit Fisto.
Including fucking Mace Windu, which we're watching the movie, and I'm like, what? How? You are a mushroom cloud dropping motherfucker, fight back! What is happening? And Mace Windu is just like, ooh, I'm dead. Ugh, God, what a bunch of bullshit. Anyway, this movie's terrible, the end. Anakin unfortunately lives, Padme fortunately dies, Luke and Leia are born, the end.
Are we done with the summary?
that's
I
about
fucking
right.
hope
I may
so.
have regretted encouraging Caitlin to wing it.
Listen, Ames, we can cut it all.
No, I'll keep it.
We watched a bad movie. That's the summary.
Though, as
Yeah,
I put
man.
it, the summary is 4-hour space battle, way too much bad dialogue, 12-hour lightsaber duel. That's your movie.
Yeah, the dueling fucking duels of CG Yoda throwing boats at the Emperor and the fucking
Interspliced with the other fight.
the most okay. I
We
get it.
starting at the end like we tend to do.
I understand that the confrontation between Anakin and Obi-Wan has been foretold since the first movie, and you know it was
when Obi-Wan was like, someday when Qui-Gon's not looking, I'm gonna fucking murder that little shit.
no, I mean episode 4. I mean,
New
Oh, the
horror.
actual
because that was the
beginning.
rematch, right?
Yeah.
You know, they in their old age, they're like, you know what? We don't need to do the fancy leaps and dancing on top of robots bit. We'll just stand here and
Not only do
awkwardly
we not
wave
have
sticks
to,
at each other.
We literally can't.
But anyway, yeah. So in the minds of the fans, it's like, oh, this is the epic battle. This is the battle to end all battles. Like, this is the duel of the fates.
They ruined that song for this movie, and I'm so upset.
And like George Lucas, knowing this, is like, well, this has to be the longest, the most ridiculous, with the most lava of any fight we've seen so far. And boy, did he deliver.
Remember the other week when we were surprised because I actually checked the pod race when you go from start line to finish line, just over 9 minutes long. And we were like, wow, it seems so much longer than that. I'm pretty sure if you string together the whole volcano fight, it's 5 hours long.
At least.
It's so long. I mean, it's probably not actually screen time wise that long, but like it's far too long to do what it needs to do.
You stop
that
being
it just gets
invested
tedious.
in the emotions of the characters after about minute 1 of 55.
Assuming you ever were.
Yeah.
I was gonna say,
Which
like,
it
I was gonna
hasn't
say,
fucking earned.
the characters have to have emotions for me to get invested in them.
Yeah.
Well, it really doesn't help they kept cutting back to the Yoda Emperor fight.
Which they needed to cut entirely. We didn't need any of it.
It was so
No.
bad.
And it's like I said last week, like, George doesn't get it. A battle between super high-powered force wielders shouldn't involve lightsabers. It should be something incomprehensible to the rest of us.
It should involve the Force. I guess, well, then again, that is definitely tricky to pull off, because I'm thinking of the fight between Gandalf and Sauron in The Lord of the Rings, and how it was just like, all right, well, he's making Gandalf breakdance, and that looks silly.
A little bit, but...
So it's
I just-
that would be
it's-
tricky to pull off.
Yeah, George isn't the director to figure it out.
Yeah, and they just because it started out lightsabers, which was stupid, and then it went into the phase of the fight that was just throwing boats at each other, which was even dumber.
And looked real
Because when you
bad.
have two people that are fighting and both of them can use the Force to manipulate flying boats, throwing boats at each other doesn't really do anything.
No. It's just kind of like a tennis match at that point.
Yeah.
Waiting for somebody to fuck up.
Yeah, so not only was Lucas not the one to direct this bit, he's also not the one to write for it, because he doesn't know how to write Yoda. It's like
he doesn't know how to write.
Every line is backwards, and that's all he thinks Yoda does is talk backwards.
But I figured it out.
Yeah?
I figured out why that is. So we're complaining because he doesn't really talk that stupid, in the original trilogy. And the reason being is, did you see that one moment where fucking Palpatine wung him across the room and he smashed the shit out of his head and concussed himself? That's what it is. They concussed him into speaking more normally. It's all explained now. It's like how, human beings, young children, they get a concussion, they become serial killers. Well, apparently, what happens to Yoda's people is they learn how to speak properly.
Well, maybe Yoda,
when concussed.
Maybe he used to speak properly, had an injury that screwed up his speech, and then whatever the Emperor did to him in this movie, like, knocked whatever was out of place back into place, and now he should be thanking the Emperor, honestly.
Yeah.
All the boobah robots in the world couldn't fix Yoda's scrambled brains, but the Emperor throwing him across a room could.
That's my theory, actually, though, about why Padme dies. It's not actually that she just lost the will to live, it's that these robots aren't programmed to deal with humans.
Oh no, it's like the Telosians and Vina.
I was gonna say, like, Dr. Zoidberg and anyone, but that too.
What are they designed to work
Why
on?
not
Other
Zoidberg?
robots? Do they deliver robot babies?
If you look around in the background, there's these weird little aliens walking around that kind of look like the Boobah robots. So, I mean, it's used to working on them. So really what it was is she actually just had massive internal bleeding, but they had no idea.
So here's my question then. Why is the decision that Padme just lost the will to live and that's what she died of, instead of Anakin did actually kill her?
Because George Lucas is a hack?
I mean, am I wrong in thinking that would be better if it was accurate to say Anakin resulted in her death when he threw her around and choked her a bunch?
Yeah, I mean, that would have been better. Like,
yeah.
Because that really would just be the ultimate failure for him, you know?
Yeah,
But
in
that
trying
would mean
to
that the
save her, he
Emperor
was the
wasn't
one that brought it
lying.
on. Sorry, what did you say, Jake?
I said because it's important, I guess, that the Emperor lie to him about how she died.
Does the Emperor know she's dead?
See,
No, I think the Emperor thinks she's dead.
I think
Why?
that the Emperor thinks she's dead too, but I think that he knows that he didn't actually kill her and he was just lying to her to
Is this from reading
because
the Force?
He has this big smile on his face as he's lying to him behind his back. There's no way he doesn't know
But
exactly
he
how
wasn't-
she died.
He wasn't there. All anyone knows is Padme's dead.
He didn't
How do
have
they
to
know
be
that?
there.
Emperor.
They fucking
It's the-
search
he-
their
he
feelings
knows.
all the time for this shit. He knows.
He's got so much
Jake,
fucking
can
force
I just
power.
tell you that I'm so glad that you fucking said that, because I said the same thing, and Chris was like, oh, he knew, blah, 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 and I was like, no.
No,
He
I
knew.
think, okay.
He absolutely fucking knew.
I think that he knew. I think that because here's the thing. He's been manipulating this whole situation. Whatever force
made
power
the
he has
situation.
lets him see things that are happening all, far and wide. So I think he knew I don't think anybody had to tell him that Padme died. I just think he knew. Or tinfoil hat time.
Yes!
Ooh.
He used the force to sap her will to live and
That's
cause her to
good.
die.
Oh,
I'd
like
accept that.
That's
I'd take
excellent.
that.
Makes more sense.
They should have made that implicit. God fucking damn it.
See, George, I feel like, must read, like, 19th century novels where, like, people die of, oh god, what stupid bullshit
Ennui.
people- Yeah, and think that's real,
broken
you know?
Mm.
Like, he must actually think people can die of shock. Well, you can't die of shock if it's severe enough. But, like, being spooked by a mouse could kill you in 1890 and shit like that. And I think he must think that's actually...
Is it that people can die of this sort of thing, or is it that women can die of this sort of thing?
Oh, definitely women.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
The writing
I
of
can't-
women in this is god-awful.
I can't see a Star Wars male character
Woman.
dying of a broken heart.
There's
No,
one
that's
woman
true.
in this movie.
Maybe Kit Fisto.
No, never
Kit
Kit
Fisto doesn't actually have a heart. He has a series of fluid-filled bladders.
So speaking of the Padme dying and the Emperor manipulating situation,
Yeah.
the Emperor beamed the vision into Anakin's head, right? Like
Ooh,
Yeah, he must have.
that's the
like a
idea.
wormhole alien.
Well, I don't know.
He
I mean,
had to, because that's how he was like, do you know you can save people from dying? He must have.
the thing is, though, she does actually die in childbirth, like in his vision. He just doesn't know it's his fault.
Because he made it happen. It's great. Emperor, excellent.
Like,
Honestly,
I think the Emperor...
Palpatine pulls all of this off, and it's impressive as fuck.
Oh, yeah, like, honestly, by the end of this movie, I'm on his side just because he's so good at it. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. He should be in charge.
He's the only one in this whole fucking movie who has any motivation.
Yeah, and it's,
Or
and it's
like a plan.
Yeah.
Any plan.
Well, and like we were talking about it yesterday, Jesus, could you see yourself just being like, someone comes along and is like, yeah, I'm going to kill all the Jedi. And be like, yeah, sure, that's fine. I said, well, let's put it in real world terms. If someone rose to the presidency, it was like, I am going to go murder every evangelical preacher with a private jet, I'd go, okay.
And it's not just that they have private jets; they're also cops who are above the law.
Yeah.
So,
Like
really, the Jedi. Let's play Darth's advocate for a second. I think
Let's play Darth's advocate.
that the
There's your title.
Jake, I love you. Go
I don't
on.
know, like, not that they're necessarily like because they don't show themselves to be evil, but the Jedi are too goddamn powerful. Not just in terms of their force powers, but in terms of their political and military power.
Yeah.
They are the law to the extent that, like, when it comes out that the chancellor might have been, not on the level, they just think they can march in there and just arrest and murder him.
Yeah.
Versus, like being like, hey, this war we're having, it was created that guy. He made it all up. He's playing both sides.
Yeah.
And then, there's
side.
some judicial process. But then they're like, no, he controls the courts. We have to take matters into our own
Yeah, that
hands.
doesn't make any fucking sense.
Like,
That would
well,
be a coup.
okay. So yeah, the Jedi clearly needed a check.
Oh, they needed a big kick in the balls. I mean, really, when you look at the history of the Star Wars universe, everyone would be better off if all the Force users went away. Like, everything that goes wrong in this universe is because a bunch of priests are mad at each other. And the ordinary population keeps getting caught in the middle.
Yeah, they're ostensibly, I mean, I'm definitely going to mix up what my understanding of the plot between the movies and
Good,
Clone
there
Wars.
isn't any. Go ahead.
Good. Okay, then I'm probably extrapolating a lot more from Clone Wars. But I mean, the Jedi are they're supposed to be in their temple. They're not supposed to be involved in politics. They're not supposed to be meddling. And then, but here we are at this point in the movie, and they're all generals, and they're all leading commands and deciding what needs to be done.
Yeah, help the Wookiees out. What?
Yeah, and they're supposed to be like, I guess assisting and advising the council, the Senate, and they're calling the shots. Like, they're definitely overstepping their bounds to use military and political forces to fight with, their rivals, the Sith. And yeah, I think I agree with Chris. I think the Force users are they're just the source of all problems.
Yeah, all of them. I mean, light and dark
Most
side.
problems.
Like, just, like, the ordinary people should get together, shove them all into a rocket, shoot them out of the galaxy. Everyone will be happier.
I mean, there's still going to be problems left in the world, though. But
Well,
What's
yes,
most
but it
wild about these movies is I think they kind of end up boiling down to government is hard. And I follow almost none of it because all the political machinations of this world are so complicated. But these are also movies for children. And what are they going to understand about, this is how democracy dies? Do they understand what they're doing? No, the kids aren't going to understand this. They love when Yoda throws boats at Sidious. It's their favorite.
Problem is, the biggest problem here is that, like, yes, the political machinations are incredibly complex, and it's really hard to follow. Especially, like, this movie's simpler than the other ones, but the episode 2
the Senate isn't even really there.
So, like, yeah, and I feel like the Phantom Menace politicking was, like, the most complex because, the trade fetter fuck.
Oh, God, that.
But anyway, in this one, while they made the plotting very complicated, it it's all extremely simplistic from the good versus evil bullshit.
Definitely.
And like
From the dialogue.
what I think it really could have used, and maybe this isn't Star Wars, maybe I'm wishing for a different, maybe this is better for Babylon 5 or something, but it could have really used some nuance, right? Like I would have liked, like, Anakin goes out and goes, well, from my point of view, the Jedi are evil. Okay, explain that to me. Or no, don't explain it to me.
Show it.
Show it to me. Show me the Jedi doing something that, like, yes, them going into the Sidious's office and trying to fuck him up. Okay, that's a bad thing, but it's not portrayed in the film that way. Like, let's see the Jedi do something that justifies Anakin's opinion, because at this point he only has that opinion because the Emperor told him.
Yeah, because one person told him.
I was gonna say that's. I mean,
one person didn't show but told.
Yeah, but I mean that's basically been consider the politics of our country for the last years. Like, to me, this actually feels very believable because we've had the one person in power telling all his idiots how things are, and then swallowing it hook, line, and sinker. Like, Anakin doesn't have to have a reason because
maybe he doesn't, but
Darth
he
Trumpy has
should.
said so.
Good storytelling does, though.
Good storytelling.
Oh, yeah,
also, we're told
come on,
that he's
guys,
not
were you still
a dumb
hoping
guy,
for that
right?
at this point in this?
Like, despite how he's portrayed in this film, he's supposed to be a smart person and a skilled,
he's being trained
warrior.
by Obi-Wan, who's supposed to be the best one.
Okay, but also jumping in behind, like, thousands of troops and announcing himself. I don't think Obi-Wan's very fucking good at this either, to be honest.
Okay, let's take a break. Let's talk about Obi-Wan and how he's fucked up. I don't know how this guy is viewed as a hero anymore, because everything is his fault. Everything is his fault, okay? Right?
I'm sorry, the Force. The Force made everything go this way.
Okay, so really everything's Qui-Gon's fault, but we'll take that away for a second. So he trained Anakin. He did not train him well. We knew Anakin was volatile. The Jedi Council knew Anakin was volatile. Obi-Wan paid no mind to that, treated him like shit, talked down to him, embarrassed him in front of people, and just, treated him like a bitch. Not that he didn't deserve it. Anakin is a bitch. But Obi-Wan wasn't helping the situation. So Obi-Wan fucks up, doesn't, and also he's completely unaware. So apparently Anakin has been being groomed by the Emperor in all definitions of the word.
Right under his nose.
And banging Padme.
For years. And banging Padme, who Obi-Wan thought was his girlfriend, but we're not going to get into that.
We should get into that.
But anyway,
Obi-Wan did.
So Anakin's been giving handies to the Emperor for years, and Obi-Wan has had no idea about this, or he's like, oh, they're just friends. Yeah, okay, they're just friends, but clearly there's something going on here. Maybe the Jedi have told you many times, Obi-Wan, that this kid is fucking a loose cannon, and he's got too much fear and anger. Maybe you should keep an eye on it. Maybe you should keep an eye on his relationships with Padme.
Well, no, hold on. Let's be fair. On the one hand, they're like, he's volatile and angry and all this. But then they go, but he might be the chosen one. Yeah. It's only in this film where someone finally goes again, like,
wait, why do we think that?
Yeah.
Because Qui-Gon said so?
Yeah, Qui-Gon.
No, because his midichlorian count said so.
Yeah, it's the midichlorian. Anyway, so he fucks up. He basically neglects his duty. Mm-hmm. He abdicates his duty to train and guide Anakin and lets him become a Sith. And then after he becomes a Sith, he doesn't even make any actual attempt to, like, redeem him.
Bring him back.
He's just like, no, he's gone. He's gone. Like, there's a scene where Padme says to Anakin at the end, she's like, Obi-Wan, he wants to help us. And I'm like, no, he doesn't. He literally wants to kill him. Like, he's not here to negotiate. He's here to slice. So, and then when he does his slicing, he does his final great fuck up by not just ending it. It's an asshole move to leave somebody for dead who's in horrible, horrible pain.
Yeah, dude,
that
what the
is
fuck?
evil.
That's, like, how is that? Exactly. That's not very fucking Jedi-like. Or is it?
And, like, also, it's like, dude, fucking double tap. Okay? Like, this guy,
Rule 1.
this Vader guy, you know he's a piece of shit. You know he murders kids. You know he murders everybody. Just get rid of him.
His eyes are yellow now.
You had no problem blasting poor Grievance's guts out.
Grievances.
But, you can't fucking just give a quick, neck slice to this guy. God damn it, Obi-Wan. You are the worst
Pick him
Jedi.
up with the Force and throw him in the lava.
Hey, but listen, Jake.
If Rey is the last Jedi, Obi-Wan is the worst Jedi.
But hey, listen, at least we had a scene of him shooting someone with a blaster and tossing it away and be like, ugh, how uncivilized.
And his fucking quippiness. The quippiness. They did it in the last
Seriously,
movie,
who is
too.
he quipping for? Who the fuck is he talking to?
Like, 'cause he does
the
it
audience.
constantly when there's nobody around, and he must just, like, think to himself later, like, oh, that was a good one.
This is gonna be great in the movie.
Obi.
Here's what really pisses
Qui-Gon
me
would
off
be so proud.
about that scene.
Which one?
The shooting Grievous scene.
Oh, that scene.
Is like, he lets go of the blaster to pull himself up, and then picks it up again, just so he can throw it aside and go, how uncivilized. Because he knew Grievous was dead.
Don't you dare give him a John Pertwee voice.
I wasn't trying to, I just fucked up the impression.
Alright, fine.
But, it wasn't that he thought, oh, he might be alive after fire shot out of his eyes. It was that George needed him to have the gun in his hand to be able to throw it aside. Like, he never should have let go of it in the first place if that's all George wanted, but George is a bad director.
You're right, Chris. Worst scene in the movie.
Oh, I didn't say it was the worst, but it drove me fucking... I think this is the first time I ever noticed he actually put the gun down and then picks it back up. I think I always thought he just had it in his hand the whole time. So the fact that I noticed it this time, I was just like, wow, that's an extra layer of suck.
So since we're talking about the ugliness of the mechanics of the Grievous fight, did you guys notice how when, like, Grievous picked him up by his, like, robe, that his hand was, like, floating through his robe and shit? The CG was so jank. It was
I was
horrible.
super sad when he tried to pat Boga, his Varactyl, the lizard thing, whom I love, by the way. I do love
same.
Boga.
He was good.
And he has to pat her, and you can just tell, like, his hand is just not touching a fucking thing, and it looks real janky.
It did, yeah. I noticed that too.
At
Just even the way he's reacting to, like, the reaction shots of, like, Grievous coming at him.
Lacking.
It's like this is really, I mean, before that, or before rewatching any of it, I would have, like, the concession I would generally make is that George Lucas is a good action director. And in many cases, yes. In this case, it looked dumb as fuck.
Well, and at one point, what scene was it? Was it when he was fighting the things in Grievous? No. It was when they were fighting something with Count Dooku. Was it during the Count Dooku part? Anyway, we were watching some scene where, like, Obi-Wan is, like, doing his little jumping around and doing flips and shit on his entirely green-screened background. Mm-hmm. And I turned to Chris and I said, okay, this right here, this feels like cheap television. This right here...
Oh, yes, that was towards the beginning.
Feels like the Power Rangers or some garbage. Like, it was so flat and so bad, and nothing was mixing with anything. Like, everything about this, it's... ugh. It just feels like a fail from start to finish on everything. Because that's the thing, that's, like, the one thing you've come to expect from this, well, sort of, like you said, Liz, is that the action is good, and that they, like, usually create at least a pretty backdrop. It isn't always, like, well executed, but it was extremely not well executed ever in any of the scenes.
There's many scenes in this, and I don't know if it's, I guess this is 15 years ago, and the technology wasn't then what it is now, but just some of the compositing was just so bad.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it looked like, how sometimes you'll see a pre-release, or I don't know what it is, but like the unfinished CG version of something.
Yeah, like in a trailer that you can tell the CG's not done.
Yeah, where they haven't quite blended the lighting, they haven't quite adjusted the colors between the real footage and the CG. But, like, everything was like that.
Yep.
And this was the final cut. So...
This was the DVD release.
I will say, here's one nice thing I can say about this movie.
We love Boga.
It's over?
Okay, 2 things.
We never have to watch it again.
3 things.
Okay.
It gives us, I think, the first ever 3D space battle. Like,
First
it opens...
ever?
I mean, yes. I really like... aside from that one moment in Star Trek 2 where they remember they have an extra axis, like, this was, because they do that opening shot where they both go down, for lack of a better term, in their fighters. Usually there's just layers upon layers of space battle, and it's like, yes, look, 3 dimensions. Thank you. Finally. Not that you do much with it beyond that, but...
But there's at least, like, an acknowledgement of the Z-axis.
Yeah. You're also, though, to then take away from that immediately, they don't have airplanes anymore. But why do they have a landing strip?
Yeah, why do they have a fucking runway? I asked the same fucking thing. I'm like, why is there a landing strip? It could have just been like a long stretch of
highway,
flat surface, but it was
prairie.
Specifically, and there was even a control tower.
Yeah.
So it's straight up an airport.
Yep.
Why?
Constructed for the war?
But why? They don't have airplanes. They have anti-grav.
Everything can take off going vertically and can land going vertically now.
That's also true.
Like, unless there's a novel somewhere where we find out that, like, Palpatine is an avid airplane enthusiast, and, like, on the weekends he putters around and be like, oh, Jesus Christ.
I don't know, I'd buy that.
The Emperor's flying his fucking antique again, and he's like, hooray! Look at me go!
Call it the Spruce Moose.
Ah. Yeah, he was definitely the best part of this movie.
I think he was the only person that understood he was in a terrible movie and was just running with it.
Yeah.
Like, I think everyone else kept thinking with these movies, like, all right, we'll make this one better. No, we'll fix it with this one. He was just like, this is so dumb. I'm just gonna go, like, full weirdo.
Well, but also, he was in the original. He already got to be in good Star Wars.
Yeah. Well, he was in Jedi.
Did he, though? He was in Jedi, so...
But he was in the, like...
Better than this.
He was in the good part of Jedi.
That's true. Yeah, he was also the best part of that movie.
Yeah.
But, like, here, I his lightsaber fight was completely unnecessary with
so
Yoda.
Bad. Yeah.
But... Well, his duel, though, with the other Jedi, though, is just the fucking bizarre noises he makes. His stance is terrible. Well, yeah. It leaves him wide open, and yet no one can hit him. It's amazing.
And yeah, that was the thing I was going to ask, is like, is there some, like, beta canon or something that establishes that he, like, uses the Force to paralyze the Jedi so that they can't react? Because
no idea.
There's 2 randos, there's Kit Fisto, and they all just
3 randos.
They get.
I mean,
no, Kit Fisto's not a rando. He's a top Jedi. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he slices them down like butter.
Yeah.
And like even Mace Windu, who does hold his own for at least a little while, even he looks like he's like, oh shit, this guy's too much for me. And meanwhile, he's just like, Well,
and according to, like, the one thing I do know from beta canon is, like, Mace's style is a particularly hard to master style that's supposed to be like in world.
Oh dear.
That, like, is really, like, if you can master it, though, holy shit, no one can fuck with you. And here's Palpatine, who just, like, pokes and swings, goes, ah! And he wins.
Well, because how do you fight against... It's like when people who are really bad at chess will win chess just because they don't know what they're doing. Like, so much of chess is knowing what your person's next move is going to be. Maybe that's what it is to be able to do the Jedi techniques, is knowing, okay, if he swings like this, he's going to parry like that next and dodge like this and do this backflip. But when you're dealing with the Emperor, who's literally just doing the, like, button mashing equivalent of kicking your ass, you don't know how to deal with it. You can't block.
I feel like there was a comment between, I want to say Yoda and Windu at some point, saying, like, that their powers were being, like...
Yeah, that was never
like,
really
squashed
expanded
down
upon.
a little bit, and you didn't, and it was never clear what they meant.
Yeah, was that
whether
this
it
movie or
was
the last one?
Oh, I don't remember. I just happened to see a clip when I was looking up something up.
I think it was in episode 2. I think
feels like that would be more than just a throwaway line.
But they were talking about, like, their ability to perceive things, and I think that was the Emperor was putting out some kind of dampening field to prevent them from detecting him or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he is crazy powerful. Like, how many times did Jedi sit right across his desk and were just like, well, he's a kind of shady old man, but he's certainly no Sith Lord.
Yeah.
Speaking of, he's certainly no Sith Lord. what was this plan from the beginning? Because I don't think they ever really explained what happened, and you're left to infer many different possibilities. When Grievous kidnapped Dooku.
No, the Grievous kidnapped
Palpatine. And Dooku was there? I've already forgotten what the fuck happened.
Okay, so here's the thing.
Someone help.
Dooku...
Yes.
Dooku and Grievous are on the same side.
Cool.
Grievous works for Dooku. Okay,
cool.
He's like his general.
Friend.
Which, by the way, I don't think we needed another baddie. I think we could have just lived with Dooku.
We didn't even finish this first baddie. Who the fuck was Dooku?
We don't know. Like that's the thing. I don't know why we dispatched him so early in this film. And then we have to deal with this new bad guy that we don't know anything about.
Yeah.
They should have just been Dooku the whole time. Maybe just Christopher Lee wasn't up to the physical task of doing the whole movie or something, but I don't know.
George.
No, it was that he didn't have 6 fucking arms.
George wanted to make a new action figure.
Yeah, that's true. That's the real reason.
He was,
and nobody was buying old man action figures.
Yeah, they figured, okay, first movie is going to be Maul with his double lightsaber. Next movie is going to be Dooku, who's an old guy. Third movie, we've got to get one that's even more powerful. It has a new cool thing. 4 lightsabers.
And a windmill mode.
By the fucking way.
Uh-oh.
I noticed, this is another thing I never noticed before, but I noticed on this watch. So at one point, towards the beginning, he steals Obi-Wan's and Anakin's lightsabers.
And puts them in his coat.
They immediately steal them back.
Yes.
The 4 lightsabers he has at the end are 2 random ones, Obi-Wan's and Anakin's.
How do you know? Did it show a close-up? Or could it just been other one? Oh, shit.
Yep, and believe me, if any of us in this room has looked way too long at pictures of lightsabers...
Yeah, I believe you.
All right, let's go back.
I wrote an article on it
anyway,
once. It's on our Tumblr.
Go
Dooku,
back and explain the plan to me again, because I'm still lost.
Dooku is Grievous's boss at the beginning.
Okay.
They kidnap Palpatine. But they don't really kidnap him. He kidnaps himself.
Well,
okay?
I kind of
he pulls a Lebowski.
I assumed that they did, but it's because they didn't realize that Palpatine and Sidious are the same person.
I assumed here's the only way it makes sense to me. Did Sidious tell them to kidnap Palpatine, and therefore Palpatine was just letting himself get kidnapped because he thought it would be funny?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
That's possible, but I assumed Dooku knows that Palpatine and Sidious are the same.
I don't know.
Maybe, but I don't think Grievous does, though.
I don't think Grievous does. No,
I think he does, because when Anakin has him at saber point and is in the position to kill him, and Palpatine says, "Do it," Dooku kind of looks at Palpatine like, "Wait, what? Like, dude, seriously?"
Yeah, I've never understood why he doesn't immediately go, "Whoa, Anakin, hey, buddy, wait a minute, oh, hold it." Got a lot of things to tell you. Because Anakin hesitates.
Because he's paralyzed him with his force power, apparently, which he can do.
Because,
I just decided.
I'm with you, Jake. I always it seemed, especially the way episode 2 ends, and the face Sidious, Tyrannus Dooku makes at Sidious. Jesus.
Oh, wait, Dooku is Tyrannus?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Can anyone have one fucking name in this movie? Jesus Christ.
You gotta have your real name and your Darth name.
Thank God the Jedi just have one name.
So
Obi-Wan and Ben.
Well, that's...
Count Dooku is his real name, quote? Yes. Oh, that's fucking unfortunate.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
He's also not a count.
Lightsaber looks like a dildo.
That's part of what makes him so fun.
His parents just named him Count, like Baron Trump.
Oh, God, like Baron Trump. I forgot all about that poor little prick.
Little nothing. He's 6'7" now.
Is he literally?
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit! Is he an adult?
He sprung up.
Oh, yeah,
anyway, what were you saying, Liz?
I think I'm trying to remember. I'm really suddenly I'm drawing a blank on half the Clone Wars series, but I feel like the way they played it in Clone Wars was that whenever Dooku and Palpatine were talking, and it would be via hollow whatever. You'd be seeing Darth Sidious. You'd see the cowl, and you'd see the Emperor voice and all of that. I think at least if you're going by what they were working with in Clone Wars cartoon, they seem to be implying that
like
he
an
wasn't
Instagram
aware.
filter.
Yeah.
I mean, the issue though is that
okay, I'll buy that.
He wasn't aware that he was Palpatine.
But if I look at
think
okay,
that
good.
I also think that I think because the Trade Federation guy, he didn't know that they were the same either.
yeah, no.
Oh no, not at all.
But he's low tier in the plan. Of course,
He's
he
fucking
wouldn't know.
stupid. Yeah, they don't know anything.
I mean, yeah, that's true though. Like, because Sidious Tyrannus makes it to the rank of Darth,
Yeah.
which come on, okay. So let's think about our other Darths that we have. We have Darth Maul, fucking badass.
Mm-hmm.
Darth Vader, fucking badass. We got Darth Sidious, not really badass, but yeah, I mean, in his own way.
He's a different kind of power.
Like, but they all have something like unique and scary about them. Like Darth Maul's painted all black and red. He's got the horns. Darth Sidious got a fucked up face and a scary voice and wears a hood. Darth Vader, need I say more? And then we have Darth Tyrannus, old man, just old man. Nothing scary, nothing intimidating.
Former
like,
Jedi.
Really, like when, I guess he's got
Christopher
a deep
Lee
voice.
has a metal band.
Yeah, he's got a metal band.
That's excellent.
He killed Nazis, Yeah, Christopher Lee is way more badass than Count Dooku.
Yeah.
Christopher Lee is kind of more badass than basically anyone. Though,
Like, maybe
be
he
fair.
should have been Qui-Gon or something. But
Oh, that'd be fun.
I mean, I think they could have done more with Dooku. Just because he's an old man doesn't mean he couldn't have. Like, I mean, Palpatine is also just an old man. It's just that if only they had gotten a director who wasn't George Lucas, like a director who could work with people, he could have just with Darth Tyrannus, they could have gone with the angle of just he's another one who just radiates, the power of the dark side, and like everyone around him just, like you could have seen his effect on everyone around him or something, rather than just like I'm just a dude standing here with a funny looking lightsaber, and then we dance.
Like, it feels like he found out he could get Christopher Lee, so he got Christopher Lee.
Yeah.
Because it always struck me as odd as, like, I get that he's an older guy, and yeah, he was already kind of disillusioned with the Jedi in his own way, and he was Qui-Gon's old teacher, so maybe that's where Qui-Gon's rebellious streak came from, but, like, it still just feels like you're not, as some old Sith dude, gonna try to turn another old dude.
Yeah.
Like, you're planning for the future. That's why his original apprentice was Darth Maul, who seemed pretty young. That's why he's been, like, prepping Anakin this whole time. Maybe that's why he went with an old dude. He's like,
yeah, maybe he just knew that. Maybe he knew that this was like a step towards a better apprentice. But here, okay, so Chris said something a moment ago. I think you just solved Star Wars, Chris.
Hooray!
It should have just been Qui-Gon. It should have just been Qui-Gon the whole fucking time. Okay, so imagine this.
Oh.
You have you have Obi-Wan. He's been training. All of a sudden, his master, who he trusts and loves and who's guided him all this time, is killed in the line of battle, and then comes back and turns out to be the bad guy.
And that's why he started training little Anakin. Wait.
No, hold on. I just restated the plot to Batman Begins. With the exact same with the same actor.
It's always fucking Batman, and I can't fucking stand us.
No, but
I stopped bringing him up ages ago too. It's other people now.
I think that would have been. I mean, that's a joke, but I actually do think if it had turned out that Qui-Gon had become disillusioned with the Jedi, which was the seeds of that were already kind of planted in the first movie because he had disagreements with this council about Anakin. Died, got picked up by Palpy and fixed up, and he was the new Darth. That would have been interesting.
Yeah,
it would have been interesting.
Alternately, like, I think it would have been, if it had been made more explicit that, like, had he lived to train Anakin, things would have worked out better. Because he does have problems with the Jedi, and I think, as we've all realized, is like kind of part of the point of these movies is the Jedi have maybe gone a little astray, and it's the fact that the more beholden to the council. Obi-Wan is the one trying to raise the chosen one, that things kind of go wrong. And, like, if he'd been under a master who was more willing to be like, okay, now just so you understand, these guys, assholes. Have to keep them happy, though. Just smile and nod. Like, maybe he would have turned out better. You know, he was being told about the living force instead of whatever fucking bullshit the council talks about.
See, I also think that having a character who, like, I think the problem with is that the Sith, this goes back to that whole black and white thing I was talking about earlier, but the Sith are just pure evil. They're only doing evil shit. They don't do anything remotely selfless. And that's contrary to the way Palpatine talks when he talks to Anakin, because with Anakin, he's like, oh no, it's just another side of the Force. You know, and the implication is that, like, oh yeah, no, there's the dark side and the light side, you know, they're really just the same thing. It's just that, you know, it's how you use it. And I think that would be an interesting idea. And I also think it would be interesting if we had seen a Darth who was not just being evil and who had, like, sane motivations, but was still doing evil shit, just not, some redeemable qualities in a Darth.
So
I think could be interesting.
Interestingly,
nuance.
In the now abandoned EU, there was once a Darth
From
who was
Nantucket?
strictly a scholar. Like, he was force sensitive and raised by and trained by a more traditional sort of evil Sith Lord. And as you do, he killed his master eventually. But he was like, he really just cared more about learning the history and studying the Force as an idea, and was a very successful businessman who died in his bed, surrounded by loved ones. I think the only Sith Lord to ever manage that.
Yeah, well,
he was a good boss.
Well, so imagine you have, let's for sake of argument say, you imagine you have Darth Qui-Gon, right? Like, he could straight up just go to Obi-Wan and be like, look, you know, the Jedi Council is not all right, okay? I don't want to kill everybody. I'm not here to do global galactic domination. I just, I think we need to tear down the Jedi Council because it's a corrupt organization. They're above the law, all the things we talked about. And we just need to destroy the old systems and start something new, something that's, maybe has a little more light side, a little more dark side, do a little better mix, maybe, a little less of this above the law private police force shit. It'll be cool. It'll be cool, Obi. And, Obi's tempted by this. He's like, oh, yeah, that might be cool. But you know what? Nah, I'm too much of a little bitch. Not going to go for it. And then Anakin's like, yeah, this dark side thing. But all this, of course, the whole time, the Emperor put this shit into Qui-Gon's mind and was like, yeah. And then, and again, just like how I feel like Dooku was just a stepping stone to Anakin, Qui-Gon then becomes the stepping stone to Anakin, because Anakin would really take to those ideas. He'd be like, yeah, you're right. The Jedi Council is corrupt and they are too powerful and they don't want me to be a master. So yeah, I agree with you, Qui-Gon, Darth Qui-Gon. Let's team up. And then, the Emperor manipulates the situation to somehow get Anakin to kill Qui-Gon, his first kind of mentor, which, is very meaningful, right? Yeah. Like, yeah, I get that they tell us a lot that Anakin and Obi-Wan are best friends and brothers and all this, but they seem to really loathe each other all the time.
100%.
They seem to hate each other less in this one than they did in episode 2.
Well, it'd be hard to hate anyone more than they hated each other in episode 2, to be fair.
Fair, yes.
But, like, if Sidious could get Anakin to believe that Qui-Gon was his enemy, and Qui-Gon's the guy that pulled him out of slavery, right?
Yeah.
But maybe Sidious plays the mother card and says, like, yes, he did not rescue your mother. Wonder why? That's mysterious, isn't it? Yes. He could have saved her, Anakin. He could have rescued her. She is dead because of Qui-Gon. Yeah.
I really appreciate that you were stroking your beard as you did that entire little monologue.
Yeah, it's necessary.
It's a good
So yeah. I'm gonna write a fucking fan script, okay? I'm gonna write this new movie.
I like your version.
Jake's
better.
episodes 1, 2, 3. Episode 1 can stay relatively the same, except
Less Jar Jar.
we'll cut down the Jar Jar stuff.
Thank
Episode 2, relatively the same, except actually no episode 2, just 2 episodes. This is a trilogy. This is a duology because we don't need 3 fucking things, 3 fucking 2-hour movies to tell this story. We just don't need it. Anyway, carrying on.
I challenge you to do it in 1 3-hour movie. How about that?
Sure.
There is somewhere out there the famous Grace cut. Apparently, Topher Grace in his spare time edits stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And he has allegedly made I think a 3-ish hour super edit, just stuff from all 3 prequels, turned into a single long movie that, by all accounts, is actually kind of good.
How do we get hold of that?
It exists in his home, and he shows friends. So befriend Topher Grace.
All right, I'm on it.
Well, at least I'll say this. It's really easy to imagine Topher Grace having that kind of time on his hands, because really, what the fuck has he been doing?
Actually, he's apparently in a sitcom now.
Oh.
Anyway, Ames, you were going to say something.
We saw him briefly in a Black Mirror.
Oh,
He looked
He was
good.
actually really good in American Ultra. He plays just the worst little sniveling bureaucrat. You just, oh boy, when he gets his... Anyway, yeah.
All right, good. Keep kissing his ass. This is how we're going to get access to that cut, so good. Keep that up.
Oh, I thought we were going to cut all this. No, I'm trying to remember, because, this came out 55 years ago or something. At what point, when the movies were being released in real time, were we supposed to have figured out that Palpatine and the Emperor are the same?
Before the first movie.
Yeah, I knew from day one, just because I was a little nerd.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had no idea.
I don't think they're making any...
I think
any mystery.
people who are already Star Wars fans knew from the beginning. Like, people who already... Like, this is the same actor, right? Like,
see, I'm not a Star Wars fan, and I think it was like I want to say my mom was like, their chins look the same after seeing the first movie, and we're like, oh yeah, I bet they're the same, because they don't state outright for the clueless children who may not, have read all the goddamn novels and shit, who don't know all the backstory that all the nerds have. Like, at what point can you definitively say the movie has made it clear and the audience should know 100% right now?
Episode 3?
Yeah, I think it's when Anakin finds out.
When Anakin finds out and gives you the sappiest, "You're the Sith Lord," with his mushy mouth, and you're like, oh, that was the best take you could get? Great.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
I mean,
see,
we've seen the rest of
honestly,
his work. Yes, it is.
Really, they should have gone. What they should have done is they should have made it, because we already knew, if you were already a Star Wars fan before these movies came out, you knew that the Emperor's name was Palpatine.
Right.
So the second they said Senator Palpatine and it was the same actor, it's like, oh right, there's the Emperor. And so I don't think they were going for any kind of surprise or shock value, because they were just that upfront with it. But honestly, they could have and perhaps should have had a different actor portraying Palpatine and not called him Palpatine, just make it the same character, and then only later have him transform, perhaps, like there's
during
no
the lightning scene.
Yeah, there's no human version of Palpatine. Like, Palpatine is straight up just what the Emperor is, the monster with the butt forehead. And during the lightning scene is when this other character, who's Palpatine, Chancellor not Palpatine, he gets shocked with the lightning. It causes his face, he's basically wearing a people mask, and like that breaks off, and like then we see, oh shit, the dark shit underneath. Oh look, that's the Emperor. That's the guy. That's Sidious. Shit.
Yeah, that would have been more interesting.
That's the other thing too, is I meant to mention this earlier, but I forgot. But like, one of the things with episode 1 is this was the late 90s. The internet was starting to be in more and more like homes.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing they did, which was revolutionary, was they did a lot of major online marketing. They released a lot of little like making of diaries and things that, this is pre-streaming, so you'd have to go onto their website, take 1,000 years to download what was ultimately like a 3-minute video, and you'd watch it. And, there was all these updates, but here's what we're doing, here's what it's going to look like, here's this and that. It's the early days of the IMDb, so, like, you could easily look up the cast and see, like, oh, Senator Palpatine, click, oh, it's the guy that played Emperor. Okay. So, like...
They must really like that actor.
Yeah. This is, like, when more than just super nerds were online, ordinary people were starting to get online more as well. And he ran with that, but it also, I think, similarly would take away from the surprise factor because of the way they did it, as opposed to like Jake's suggestion. Oh Christ! I
don't think there was any effort, like, especially from what I remember of the featurettes that you're talking about, of even the specials on TV, of behind the scenes and preview stuff. Sorry. I feel like there was a show that was supposed to be some like preview content about the like episodes 2 and 3, maybe even 1, I don't know, that like they outright spoiled plot points just to cover shit, just to like tell you what's coming up or something. I have vague memories of this, but
they outright spoiled it since they knew the movies weren't going to actually make any of it clear.
What the fuck? But I think, like, I feel like there was in terms of the writing, in terms of that kind of planning, they went into this expecting people, because even then, the original Star Wars trilogy was such a cultural phenomenon. Like, everybody went to go see those movies. It wasn't just for nerds. The nerds
everybody
are the ones who had the encyclopedic
fights.
Knowledge. Yeah, like like my brother and sister saw Return of the Jedi before they met me in the nursery. Everybody went to see this movie. And I think, there might be they're probably expecting some people to go in, where they saw the movie 15 years before or whatever, and maybe they don't remember Palpatine's name, but they're gonna remember. And I think the movies decided to, like, for the prequels, they were like, we'll just be lazy and just go in expecting people to know this. There's, some gesture at not bothering to make the big have the big reveal for the character of, like, you're the Sith Lord. But I don't think they were riding on that as an actual reveal for the audience. I'm trying to word my like, I guess, frustration, my disappointment of there's a balance to be struck.
It's not I'm your father. There's no reveal ever.
No, there's no reveal like that, not for the audience. Nothing half so satisfying. I think it's a matter of, like, when you're going into something like this, there's a balance to be struck in terms of rewarding the audience for what they've already seen and giving them that satisfaction of more information on top of what they already come in knowing, but at the same time, not punishing the audience if they don't have that previous knowledge. So if you have new audiences who are coming in to see these movies, you just assume most things are going to be new to them, that they don't really know Yoda's backstory, that they don't know who Palpatine is going to become, that maybe they don't know who Anakin's going to become. Maybe. And then just sort of, like, give them just enough to sort of, like, catch them up so that they can follow the plot and not sit there wondering what the fuck's going on. But at the same time, you want to reward the other audience who's coming back for more story that they've already enjoyed from you. Like, there's that balance. And I feel like here, there's so many times where, like, did you bother to think about either of those audiences?
No.
George?
They only thought about their wallets.
George was only thinking about the
Money.
story he wanted to tell.
Yeah, he definitely just hits.
Tell it.
He hits the plot points, and then he doesn't hit them gracefully. Like, just conversations between, like, Padme and Anakin about, like, about war and diplomacy, and it's like, okay, I get this was what, 2003. Like, 9/11 was real fresh, Patriot Act, all of that cultural milieu. We were all reacting to that, and this was like, and George Lucas, like, he was making a few these, like, like, years in advance or whatever, however many number of years in advance, but at the same time,
he clearly
thoughts.
rewrote some bits. He put some George Bush dialogue directly in Anakin's mouth.
The war and diplomacy stuff.
Here's the thing:
what did he actually say? Go ahead. Sorry.
No. Say what you were gonna say, Chris.
No, I was just gonna say, like, what did he actually say that was actually, like, do you mean literally stuff that George Bush said?
There are probably, I can't think of specific lines, but there were
with
moments.
me, you're against me, was something Bush said.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I remember you screaming about that recently.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's
pretty hideous at the time.
He will.
Yeah, so
Everyone does.
Star Wars, unlike other sci-fi, which is oftentimes used as a mirror, that's never been what Star Wars was.
When Star Wars does it, it's by accident.
So
Well, actually,
shoehorning shit in like that.
That's not true, actually. The original version
Is it
of
possible?
the Emperor, in his early notes, was, hand to God, this isn't me making shit up, based on Richard Nixon. He's always thought of himself as
that
political.
explains all those jowls.
Well,
Yeah, it's absolutely.
it's like-
the soldiers are called stormtroopers, in the Empire, and
Well, yeah, I mean,
Palpatine
it's very
becomes a chancellor
simplistic.
before he becomes emperor.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah,
No, I
that's
mean,
some Nazi
he was
shit, isn't it? I
clearly
hadn't thought
trying to
about
do
that.
Nazi shit, but
Yeah.
it's so fucking clumsy and simplified and childlike that
Absolutely.
it's not worth even thinking about. But another, going back to the topic about the reveals, right? It occurred to me that this trilogy and the original trilogy are paradoxes.
Do they rhyme?
They do rhyme. Well, because here's the thing, right? Because the big twist in the original trilogy is that Luke's father is Darth Vader, right? Like that's the big what moment for people that are seeing it the first time. The big reveal moment in this should be that Palpatine is the Emperor, right?
I have another twist
and that
for you. in a minute.
Anakin is going to the dark side to follow him, right? That should be the twist of this movie. But no matter which series you watch first, it spoils the other one.
Yeah.
Like, you cannot watch the original trilogy and not be spoiled on the twist of this because you already know that Darth Vader is Anakin Skywalker by the time you've watched the first movie. If you watch this movie for the first time, you already know that Luke Skywalker is Darth Vader's son.
And that Leia's his sister.
And that Leia is his sister. So, like, there's no way to watch these movies. There's no order that you can watch them in where you will be at all surprised when you watch the other one. And that's a little, I don't know.
Well,
it's interesting. It's just an interesting observation. I don't know.
Unless you never retain anything and completely missed that Anakin Skywalker was Luke's dad's name, in which case you might be a little blown away. Not saying that was me, but
There's actually, you're right, Jake, there's no way to fix it. I did once read, though, about a theory from a person about the best way you can try and handle it. If you've somehow got somebody that's never seen any of the movies and somehow avoided the fucking zeitgeist of all of it, they call it the machete order.
Yeah.
Where what you do is you watch episodes 4 and 5, then you watch 2 and 3 as if it's like an extended flashback to explain the big reveal that just happened in 5.
Wait, just 2 and 3 or 1, 2, and 3?
Yeah, you can skip 1.
Oh, I see.
Because,
I couldn't remember that part.
it can and should. Right?
that's why they call it the machete order as well, because they cut out one of the movies.
Ah,
Because they're like, you know what? Pretty much all the stuff that happens in 1 is reiterated in 2. They're like, you're fucking fine. You don't need this fucking movie. And then you watch Jedi.
I see. Yeah, I guess you could do it like that and it would work.
Yeah, but again, like you said, there's no way to watch them like 1 through 6 or 4 through 6, 1 through 3 without it being a paradox, as you put it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's and it kind of goes back to there is no real storytelling reason for any of these, for any of these 3 movies to exist. Like, these movies
No.
do not add or improve anything that was established in the first 3 movies.
in fact, they detract an awful lot.
I would agree with that. And I think that like obviously I know money's a big thing. I know that, we are going to have Star Wars movies no matter what. But take the Clone Wars as a concept. The Clone Wars was like a one-liner that Luke says to Obi-Wan in the first movie. He's like, "Oh, you fought in the Clone
Wars?"
And it's like, okay, interesting, but I don't need to see the Clone Wars. I don't need, all I know, so from that line, all I understand is that there was some conflict in the past. Obi-Wan and Luke's father were soldiers in this fight. And it was a big thing. It was a big deal that even Luke on this little, dustball planet has heard about. So it must have been a pretty big deal.
Well,
but
or
I don't
someone
need to
just
see
said
it.
your father was a veteran of the Clone Wars. I mean,
Yeah,
I feel like he must have asked at some point about his dad, and the best thing they could say was, he fought in the Clone Wars. Yeah.
Yeah, well, who cares? And because
Nobody.
nobody cares what the Clone Wars are. Nobody needed to see the clones, and the fact that they're just they're just literal clones of some guy.
Well, you see, tell that to the kids who grew up on the series, The Clone Wars, and they'll say you're very wrong. It is super necessary.
Well, I'm sure there's tons of great media. In these movies, I do think that they have redeeming qualities. I'm not saying that they were a waste of time entirely, but I just think that there's nothing that these movies added to the Star Wars story that was good. I don't think they needed to be. If George Lucas wanted to make other movies set in the Star Wars universe, I think that would be very cool.
Unrelated to this story?
Unrelated to this story, because it's we got the story. The first 3 movies give us the whole story.
Yeah.
We don't need the rest.
See, I frankly think prequels are almost always a bad idea.
You know what I would love to see? I mean, I guess this would technically be a prequel, but what I would be really interested to see is the original conflict between the Sith and the Jedi. How did this ancient feud start? Was it a Jedi that discovered that there's Sith bullshit and or found the dark side and started the Sith, or is it the other way around? Were the Sith first? Were the Sith the tyrannical rulers of the galaxy and were the only ones that knew the Force, and they used it to keep people down? And then one guy was wait a minute, I can use the Force? Shit, I'm gonna start doing this for good.
And that
maybe
man's
he's
name
the first
was
Jedi.
Fred Jedi.
Yes.
They would.
I don't know. I think there are interesting, because there's the
there
world
are
building
so
of Star
many-
Wars is very cool, but this, I feel these movies just make that world building shallower.
So shallow. Everyone's connected to everyone else. I've said it before, it's supposed to be this expansive universe, but it feels so tiny because everyone knows each other. It's exhausting.
Yeah. And it's not because they don't know each other because it's a concise story about a focused number of people. They know each other because of magic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway,
there's a lot of reliance on fate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the Force.
Destiny
It's
or
all
whatever.
the
It's
Force.
Okay, but listen, I mean, we've all been that tabletop DM where we're just all right, I need to get the party together so we can go to the dungeon. But you can't keep having them happen to all meet in the same tavern. You got to do a little more work.
There's a big difference between running a tabletop game and trying to tell a good story for the masses.
Yeah.
You as a
I know. I'm just trying to be
tabletop
cheeky
player,
about it.
you accept a fudging. I don't want to give George the credit.
Fair.
I don't think he could even run a good tabletop game, frankly.
He'd be a kick in the door kind of D&D DM.
But here's the two...
minimal plot, minimal people, and the less dialogue from him, the better.
The 2 things I will give him. 1, it's terrible, but this is the story he wanted to tell. There were so many nerds that were mad he ignored a lot of stuff that had become accepted as canon. But he was no. He could have made so much more money with so much less effort if he had told the story the fans had already created in their own minds.
Mm.
But he was nope, this is the story and this is how I'm going to tell it. It's it's a terrible story. You told it horribly, but hey, go you. And 2, speaking of the whole post 9/11 thing, at least his reaction to 9/11 is, wow, this was bad and things are going badly. We'll see how Enterprise reacts to 9/11.
Oh no.
Oh, boy.
Season 3, motherfuckers, and let me tell you.
This is how Liberty Dies line was very...
It was not subtle, but you know what? At least it was
It was poignant.
It's a good line.
It's still poignant.
It's one of few things Padme does in this movie, other than cry and die.
Yeah, but it's at
the
least
old cry and die.
At least he didn't wind up enthralled to fucking Bush and Cheney and all that. He kept his left-wing bullshit intact, even if, again, he couldn't write dialogue to save his fucking life.
Good.
So I will give him those 2 things.
Speaking of things Lucas did, I wanted to go through my list of cuts and bullshit that he made to the script, because some of them I wanted, some of them I'm very glad got cut.
Oh, I think I know at least one of them that you're going to be glad was cut.
Oh, I bet you do. No, because I think he really, really wanted to focus on the Anakin character arc. He failed at it, but he knew that should be his focus, so he at least understood that. But yeah, he wanted to really, really make it clear, like, nope, we need to focus on Anakin, so we're going to cut a lot of this bullshit to make sure that's clear that he needs to save Padme, and he needs to kill Jedi. Thanks, Lucas. Great. But anyway, here's something that got cut. He wanted to explain exactly what the fuck was going on at Kamino, which apparently he had, like, promised to the fans was going to be in this movie, and then he realized, nope, it's too much, and it can't be in this movie because it doesn't have to do with Anakin. Everything has to do with Anakin.
We already knew what was going on with Kamino.
Was there
they made the clones.
Say again, Jake?
Oh.
Yeah, was there any mystery about Kamino at this point?
Maybe, like, exactly who was involved.
Who stole the P card, damn it.
It was fucking Dooku.
Well, there was something more there he wanted to tell. He didn't bother telling it.
Thank God.
I wonder how much of what he wanted to tell was used for Clone Wars.
Ooh.
Maybe.
I still gotta see Clone Wars. I hear good things.
I
From
like,
Liz.
honestly, especially, yes. I mean, here's the thing. After, especially coming back and watching, I haven't rewatched Clone Wars yet, but looking at least Revenge of the Sith, it doubles down on... Yeah, I haven't watched back. Yes, I haven't gone back and watched Attack of the Clones. Thank you, yes. Titles. But what Clone Wars does, and it becomes evident, at least it's something that I realized pretty quickly, pretty early on, is that it does what movies just couldn't do in general, like as a TV show, because it has the time to build and to tell a story. But it also, like, even just with, like, that initial movie, like, it already gives you more of what we should have seen in the movies in terms of character arcs, in terms of relationships. Like, you talk about, and I remember, even without rewatching it recently, just the non-friendship between Anakin and Obi-Wan in the movie, whereas they make it just much more, they do it much more elegantly in the show of this, that it's more of a bitchy sibling sort of, you know, there's a love, but it's begrudging in a lot of ways, in the ways that you might with a sibling. Obi-Wan is less, I'm going to get these quips in and feel pleased about it, and more sarcastic, and he's the best bitch, and I love him. And it really shows at Anakin's descent much more interestingly over the course of the seasons. Like, season to season, you can see like a wardrobe change. Like, you know, like it was 2 or 3 seasons in, and I was like, wait a second, this is a new outfit. It's darker. Like, he's got darker accents in his robes now. And like, you see even the way he might interrogate a character in season 2 versus season 5. Season 5, he's much quicker to just go for the force choke, and he's like much quicker to, like, you hear the overtones of the Vader theme, all sorts of stuff. Like, they lace it in much more nicely. Padme gets more to do, and you see her actually doing, like, diplomacy. And you get to see a lot more of the other Jedi Council guys. Like, Kit Fisto has a great, like, there's a great, like, arc with Kit Fisto. Like, you go to his homeworld, and there's like the wars fought on that front, and Plo Koon, which is the really creepy guy with the eye things,
metal mask.
Yeah, he's got a great voice too. He's just very just smooth baritone. They all get interesting arcs. They all have their turn, and for the most part, I mean, I'm sure there's a dud in there that I'm not thinking of right now, but for the most part, like, I'm actually, like, Kit Fisto shows up, and, you know, just like, yay, Plo Koon, I'm like, okay, cool. Mace Windu, they give him some really great moments to just show up and, like, to earn that reputation that you're supposed to understand him to have as this badass. Like, it doesn't just tell you. Even within the course of a children's show, it's still, you watch, and like, okay, I can see why Mace Windu is actually supposed to be this impressive guy.
Well, and that's the interesting thing, too, is because I think this last night we're watching, you know, the Order 66 and this sad music swells, and it's like, look at all these Jedi die. Isn't it tragic? It's like, I don't know.
That's true.
I don't know or care about any of these people.
Like, because I've watched some of Clone Wars now, it's like, oh yeah, look, Plo, oh, that's sad. I liked him. Dickhead guy, I still didn't really know him. I was telling Caitlin, yeah, thank you, I always forget his name. My favorite thing when I saw this movie in theaters was it was already like, the audience was not on board with this fucking trash fire.
Killing children. Killing younglings. My favorite.
We loved that. That was great. But when the Twi'lek Jedi got shot to death, some guy in a row near me went, but she was hot.
That's interesting. Anyway, bringing us back. Liz mentions that Padme does more things in Clone Wars. She was originally going to do more things in this fucking movie.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
And I actually looked it up because they have the filmed scenes, in deleted scene reels that you can find online very easily. But they had the scenes with Padme and Bail Organa and Mon Mothma.
Yeah, that's right.
Founding the Rebel Alliance. And they had two whole scenes. They were boring, but they were there.
No, I would have loved to have seen that.
I think
that.
They
everything about this movie was boring, so what would the difference be, really?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
When they made Rogue One, they got the woman who played Mon Mothma in this. So she finally got to be Mon Mothma.
Good.
Like in a not cut scene.
Yeah, they also cut the scene of Yoda going into exile on Dagobah.
Yeah,
it's probably just extra filler, but here's my favorite new thing. So you know how Palpatine is going on to Anakin for a while? Oh, there was a great Sith Lord that talked about, using midi-chlorians to create life. Rah, 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 rah.
Oh, yeah, Darth Plagueis.
The wise.
Darth
Very
Plagueis
subtle,
the
that one.
wise.
But originally the plan was for Palpatine to reveal to Anakin that he himself used the midichlorians to get Shmi pregnant. Therefore, and here's where it rhymes, Sidious is Anakin's father. No! That's impossible!
Barf.
No, instead, years later, he is Rey's grandfather.
I mean, I would like, to be fair, I would like to retcon out the virgin birth, but not like that.
Oh, weird. Here's a scene that I'm super glad got removed pretty early, it sounds like, in that we would have seen a 10-year-old Han Solo on
That's
Kashyyyk,
the one!
and it destroyed the movie.
That's the one I was sure you were going to bring up and be like, thank Christ that didn't happen.
Thank Christ that didn't happen.
The fact that we got Chewbacca, and it's canonically Chewbacca because Yoda says Chewbacca.
Yep, he does.
He doesn't even say Chewbacca Senior or anything.
Like the fact, well, I mean...
Well, because Chewbacca Senior is lumpy. We all know that from the holiday special.
Well, Chewbacca's supposed to be like 300 or something, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's supposed to be pretty old, but like... We can have Wookiees and not have Chewbacca.
You could.
Apparently not.
That's a thing you can
Apparently
do.
They don't all have to be there.
This goes back to what Chris said about everybody knows each other.
Yeah.
Yoda is buddies with Chewbacca now, canonically.
Who never, by the way, when Han is like laughing about Jedi, never does Chewie go, dude, I knew one. He was cool. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I watched him kill two guys in cold blood for some reason. He never explained why.
But let's talk about the Wookiees, because I kind of forgot about, if you think back in the day when these movies... I have a terrible memory, except for useless bullshit. I remember trailers like a motherfucker.
He does.
And there was so much leaning on the Wookiees in this trailer.
Wank!
Hey guys, remember how you heard that originally it was going to be the Wookiees in Return of the Jedi? Well, guess what? We're finally doing it. It's like... And there's barely any actual Wookiee fighting that we see.
They do some Tarzan yells for some reason.
They do. The captions even say Tarzan yell.
Oh, no.
Do they really?
Yes.
Oh, Christ.
That's unfortunate.
It would be like, it's like if you promised a bunch of Star Trek nerds, like, hey guys, we're going to make a movie where you finally get to watch Klingons going, like, whole hog in a battle somewhere.
We're going to show you the Breen changing everything.
Yeah, we're going to show you, like, a full-on, like, air assault ground. It's going to be you're finally going to see them, like, unleashed without the Federation looking over their shoulder and telling them to cool it and this and that. And then it's like 30 seconds of the whole fucking film. That's basically what that was. It was a huge bait and switch.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Yeah, there was.
Well, I guess George Lucas is not a
the
masturbator, is he?
Speaking of the Wookiees, I don't know why it amused me so much, but there's a scene early in the movie when the Jedi Council is hanging out and they're talking about the war and doing their battle planning. And Ki-Adi-Mundi, as I now know, says, and he's on a hologram too, like they're all talking, and then he just, apropos of nothing, is just like,
yep.
what about the droids attacking the Wookiees? And then everyone's like, oh yeah, what about the droids attacking the Wookiees? And then the rest of the war is there. And like, I don't know. It made me amused.
It's like that person that reminds you that an email went out 3 weeks ago and you still have to act on it.
It's like, what is wrong with
fuck. Send Yoda.
So wait, so the Jedi apparently are like the chief strategists of this whole fucking war. And they need to be reminded by this asshole about, we got to deal with the Wookiee situation. It's like, dude, why did we let the Jedi run this war? They suck at it. They're really bad.
Like, seriously, Dear Jedi Council, per my previous email, droids everywhere! Signed, Chewbacca.
Speaking of droids everywhere, so it's a good thing that, like, R2-D2 has plot armor because fucking poor R4 just got fucking wasted by, they cut his head off. They decapitated him. The little buzz boys.
Yep. Yeah, why put the brain in their head? Just because that's where humans keep them. You could put a droid's brain way down in its middle behind so much armor.
That's where Kenny Baker is.
Touche.
Oh, so remember how last week, I know Liz doesn't remember because the episode hasn't come out yet.
Informing Liz.
What happened last week, Jake?
Oh, no.
Well, so at one point I suggested that, actually this would have been 2 weeks ago, I suggested that instead of, basically my thesis was that instead of having Naboo, it should have been Alderaan.
Yes.
And instead of when they escape, instead of escaping on the Nubian ship, they should have escaped on the blockade runner from episode 4, right? Yep. Because the ship that Leia escapes on, and thus earning it the name the blockade runner, because that's what the ship's called, I think.
It is.
You know, because it ran the blockade. Anyway, but anyway, I just brought that up again because I wanted to mention the blockade runner, because that is the ship evidently that we're on at the end of this movie with Jimmy Smits.
Yep.
Because he says, and I remember this, he says to some rando dude, he's like, Captain Antilles, who was the name of the captain that was, so basically
Wedge Antilles, yeah.
Yeah, well, not Wedge Antilles.
Different Antilles.
The different Antilles, because in episode 4, when R2's like, I got to go find my old master Obi-Wan, and C-3PO says, well, our last master was Captain Antilles. So, canonically then, they just worked on that ship for the next 20 years or whatever.
Take that, the Droids TV series.
Oh, no!
So after this, apparently they just work on that ship, and that's the same ship from episode 4 that Leia's on. So that evidently. So I thought, it's things like that are, I think, are like fan wanky. Yes, I get it. But I don't know. I like little things like that sometimes.
It's the kind of thing that if you're not a fan and don't get the joke, you don't realize I'm missing something and I don't get a joke. Like Star Trek Lower Decks.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or like Chewie. Having Chewie in the movie is a huge fan wank that irritates me
so much.
Because this one's like a little thing, and it's just like, okay. All right.
I'm glad.
Connection. I don't know. I liked it.
I'm glad Peter Mayhew got paid, but
was it actually him in the suit?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I bet it was.
This is a while ago, before his health problems started to crop up.
He was Chewie in the prequel series, as I recall. Yeah. There was actually one detail that I still wonder. I never really looked into it to see if it was ever acknowledged, but the fact that the Organas are played by Hispanic actors.
Yeah.
And they're the ones who adopt Leia. I'm like, is this to explain the buns? Because the buns were directly taken from a hairstyle of Mexican revolutionary women? Because if so,
I didn't know that.
I accept this.
Yeah, I made that joke. It's like, hey, so how are we going to explain that she's, doesn't look a thing like us?
It's fine.
No, because it's public knowledge that she's adopted, because Luke brings it up to her in episode 6. He says, "Do you remember anything of your real mother?" So it must just be well established in the universe that Leia is the
so.
adopted daughter of the Organas.
Okay, so we'll hide her with a guy, change her last name. We're just gonna have Luke keep his same last name and live with, his Darth Vader's stepbrother.
Well, not just that.
Yeah.
Like, the thing that irritates me the most is, like, what a dickhead. I mean, I get it. You don't want to take two fucking babies, but fucking Bail Organa, like, oh, we're going to take the little girl to live in our fucking palace on our goddamn beautiful mountainous city that will, yes, in due respect, it will get blown up in like 20 years, but until then, it's going to be real nice. She's going to live a life of fucking luxury. Now, take the boy to the fucking desert and set him up with some goddamn dirt farmers.
Let's be fair. Yoda had already declared they should be separated.
Yeah, I get it.
That's when Jimmy Smith was like, all right, I'll take that one.
But, like, they couldn't have come up with something better for Luke, because, like, he really got the shaft.
He did. I wonder if that conversation ever came up, like, after Return of the Jedi, they're just sitting around one day, and he's like, so you got to go be a princess. I got to be a fucking water farmer on Tatooine.
At least they didn't let him be raised by...
I think there's an Olsen Twins movie about this.
Oh, good.
I also like just the idea of giving, like, not just, we're gonna throw you, in the middle of the desert. It's like, we're gonna put you with the last family that your pursuer would have and might actually conceivably in some, like, possibly come and look for.
Well, and that's the
whether or not he's looking for the baby, he might still come and see, like, Owen and Beru.
I mean, a fan theory is that they did that on purpose.
Ah.
And considering, again, we've seen the Jedi kind of suck. Yeah.
Oh, and that's why they have Obi-Wan live nearby, so that if Vader shows up, he can go and
deal with it.
Yeah, presumably.
Plus, Obi-Wan is now perfecting Force ghosting, evidently. Something Qui-Gon learned.
Which we don't see.
Great.
They don't show us dead Qui-Gon.
He was supposed to show up as a ghost, but had suffered a riding accident.
Oh.
Shortly before he was supposed to do his filming.
Oh, no.
He did have a very brief vocal cameo in episode 2 as well. I don't think we mentioned that. During the scene where Anakin flips out and starts murdering people. When they cut to Yoda meditating.
Oh, that's right.
Someone goes, Anakin, no! That's Liam Neeson.
Oh.
Interesting. Huh.
Why?
I guess his ghost has been watching over Anakin this whole time.
He's been his little guardian angel.
He's been
and this is
watching
how
his
Yoda
career with
now.
Great interest.
This is how Yoda now knows that Force
Qui-Gon's
ghosting
out
is
there.
possible.
I guess so.
It sounds like this has never been possible before, and now Yoda's like, "Ooh, I could do this."
That's another thing they address in the Clone Wars series, but it's not really discussed in the movies.
Do this, I could.
Thank you.
Good.
And then it's just like, and then every Jedi has the ability, because Luke does it.
And it's common
It's implied
knowledge
that Kylo Ren does it.
Leia does it.
Leia does it. So it's like, at one point, it was like a very rare thing that only the most skilled and disciplined Jedi can do, and then now it's just
but the Skywalkers are all skilled.
They're
and
special,
don't you know?
That's true. It's you know what it is.
Special.
It's just like
real good.
It's like cell phone features, like smartphone features that like they first come out on Apple, and you're like, oh my god, that's a crazy feature, and then within a year or two, it's on all the phones.
Apple wishes that's still how it was.
I mean, this is also a franchise where the storytelling, the elegance of the storytelling, very commonly boils down to somehow Palpatine has returned. So it's just like, and there are Force Ghosts too. How convenient.
Yeah, true. Let's not analyze that movie any more than it already has been, because god damn it.
God,
we watched it again this week.
Episode 9?
Yeah.
Why, do you hate yourself?
Yeah, we hate ourselves. That's the answer.
Jesus.
No, it's so we could be fresh on the rankings, basically.
I have a couple more deleted scenes to talk about.
Oh, okay, go for it.
So purportedly, the best fight scene in all of Star Wars, or perhaps ever, according to the stunt coordinator Nick Gillard, would have been in this movie, but never got filmed. Like, they were working with Ewan McGregor for fucking weeks on an amazing fight scenario between him and Grievous's 5 or 12 bodyguards. And instead, Lucas basically says, that's going to take too much time, and, we need more time for the end fight. Let's just let them get crushed by an HVAC unit instead. And that's why...
He does Indiana Jones with the shotgun.
Yeah, and that's why they get crushed by a piece of ceiling.
It's like poetry, it
instead
rhymes.
of doing anything. Now, granted, there was already way too much fight scene in this movie.
Yeah.
But if it was considered the best fight scene that this stunt coordinator has ever concocted, at least I want to know what it was.
Except it was going to be Obi-Wan versus 6 or 8 CG enemies. It wouldn't have been that good.
Yeah, that might have also
Possibly
been
not.
part of the reason it didn't make the cut. It's just because seeing how they can barely get him to pat a lizard and have it look remotely passable. I can't imagine a really high octane battle, fist fight or whatever it was going to be.
Yeah, this movie had 2,151 shots that used special effects, a world record. And it's unclear if that's a world record that still stands or if it was the world record at the time, but that's still so much.
That's a lot of shots.
Just...
a lot of people
What else
really
did
like
they
this
cut?
movie, which shocks me.
The other thing that I happened to watch a video of last night was that the Anakin bleeding and dying and being on fire on the side of the volcano was originally going to be different and have a much different tone, which could have been very interesting in that he would have been literally begging Obi-Wan to help him instead of just nothing, instead of just Obi-Wan leaving. Like, it would have been, and you can actually see it apparently in a scene. You can see his mouth saying, "Obi-Wan, help me."
Oh God.
But they just cut the audio, so you don't really notice it. And that Obi-Wan basically would have said, like, I love you, but I can't help you. So and then he'd wander away.
And then Anakin's like, no, you can. Just some water? Just anything? No?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm kind of glad they didn't do that because that makes Obi-Wan look like even more of an asshole than he already looks.
And he already looks like quite the asshole.
Yeah.
Also, Christensen is the one in the Vader suit at the end because he begged to be in the Vader suit at the end.
That's
I
why he looked like a
asked that.
scrawny version of Vader.
Even though he is not as tall as any of the other Vaders we've seen, he's 6 feet tall. So they had to put him in lifts, like shoe lifts,
That
and
explains the Frankenstein walk.
And he basically looks out of the
Literally.
mouthpiece of the mask.
That's amazing. He apparently will be appearing in the Obi-Wan series in scenes out of the suit as Shard
flashbacks?
Vader.
Ew, gross.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll be interested to see how that performance would be in the hands of not George Lucas directing.
Yeah, it should be
because
interesting.
the thing that these movies, they did not do any good for that actor.
No, that poor
Christensen
bastard.
Or
looks-
literally
Fucking
any
wrecked his
actor.
career.
I mean,
Not a single actor that was in these movies
in
would
this
help
in
by
this movie in particular, every line he delivered was terrible. Everything he said was terrible, and I don't want to put it on his shoulders just because I know that George Lucas is not a good actor director.
Not at all.
And can't write dialogue.
But at the same time, I'm like, I don't know. It was real bad. It was real bad.
I honestly think that he suffered the most because he was the main focus of attention for George Lucas. George Lucas was so intent. He was so focused on telling Anakin's story, and he's so obsessed on hyper focused on that one character. That all of what he thought, all of his overwrought writing and his overthought dialogue, because George Lucas, as we've seen with all the various special edition changes to the original trilogy, he constantly, second guesses and rethinks everything and goes back and tweaks it too much until he's fucking wrecked it. Imagine him doing that with one character for this entire trilogy. I feel like that's probably what happened to poor Hayden Christensen, because at least with Ian McDiarmid, you could just Ian McDiarmid probably had enough clout, at least with Lucas, and the experience himself to just be like, I'm on my own. I'm going to do my own thing. Let me do the stupid monologue. I will handle this. George Lucas was probably more hands off with him. You know, he was probably neglectful toward Natalie Portman at times. Like, I feel like he was probably so just constantly just on top of Hayden Christensen the whole time that probably was just destructive, if anything. Would be my theory.
I think, too, part of the reason he suffered the worst is because, like, before this movie, no one really knew who he was.
Yeah.
Mm.
You know, like,
this should have launched his career.
Right. For a lot of these other people were already, like, even Natalie Portman, like, she was in fucking The Professional when she was 12.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
you know,
that's right.
People were like, we know she can be better. This clearly isn't her fault. People had seen Ewan McGregor, had seen
Qui-Gon Jinn.
I can't think of his real name, but Qui-Gon, Liam Neeson. Like, so many of these other actors already had careers, and people could go like, all right, it was clearly George.
Yeah.
Whereas, for some reason, that didn't occur to them, then maybe this also extends to Christensen.
Yeah.
Because, again, no one knew who the hell he was before this.
Yeah, I mean, and in a way, the same thing kind of happened with, in the original series with Mark Hamill, right? Because he had more of a bigger voice career later on, but he was never a big movie star after Star Wars.
No, but his voice acting, though.
Yeah, his voice career took off. I think he was in, like,
hugely.
I remember he was in some Christopher Reeve movie about, like, a haunted town or something. I don't remember Mark Hamill being in, but that's the only other thing I could think of.
Yeah, and he showed up randomly here and there on TV a lot.
Yeah.
I think he's quite good in The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, he definitely, he improves a lot as an actor.
Even just in the original trilogy. The minute he's being directed by not George.
True.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so it's interesting, yeah, because I feel like a lot of the other actors had successful careers.
Yeah, but again, I think they already had them, so.
True.
I mean, between him and, what's his kid from episode 1?
Oh, God, poor Jake Lloyd.
Oh, yeah, that guy.
Yeah, we again, episode 1, our talk on it hasn't gone live yet, but there was so much beyond even that he had to deal with that it's very fucking sad. Hayden Christensen at least seems to have a fairly together life. Unlike poor Jake Lloyd. They can bring him back. Hey, you want to be Vader again? Go, sure.
One random fact I really like. Mount Etna in Italy happened to be erupting during the time they were filming, so they went and got some good B-roll.
And Hayden Christensen actually was on fire at the end there.
I do. It's so annoying that, like, it's one of the oldest tropes in the book, but the fact that in reality, if you were as close to lava as they were for most of that scene,
you'd be dead.
They should have been bursting into flame.
Yeah.
But the Force.
Only at the end does it suddenly kick in.
Yeah.
When, Vader catches finally.
We see it's because his power was weakening. He was losing his connection to the Force in that moment of...
No, but see, that doesn't work because the only way we can explain why his brain didn't boil while it was on fire.
He's focusing all his effort on keeping his brain from boiling, Chris.
Yeah, he was redirecting the shields, from the rest of his body.
Yeah, away from the extremities. That's why he lost the extremities.
Oh, it really does, though. Like, Jake, you said this back when we were talking about episode 4. Just how vicious and awful and brutal that scene is. That is not reflected at all in the meeting again on the Death Star 20 years later.
Oh, whoops.
It's like, oh yeah, we're old enemies, kind of, I guess. Not like, you watched me burn for 2 minutes.
Yeah, that scene is so brutal that this is the first Star Wars film that got a PG-13 rating.
It's like when a long time ago now, it seems like, in a galaxy. Nope, just this one. Tim Burton did a Sweeney Todd some years ago, and there's the end scene. Spoilers for Sweeney Todd. Mrs. Lovett gets pushed into their oven thing where they've been like burning the dead bodies.
A walk-in oven.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in the original cut of the film, they focus on her burning alive and screaming for like a long fucking time.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, holy shit. And when they re-released it as like on DVD, or when they released it on DVD, period, they had obviously tinkered some of that away. This was easily 10 times worse.
Yeah.
And it made it in, which is crazy. So yeah, it is brutal. And you're definitely not like, yes, my old master, back again, rah, rah, to the guy that did this shit to you.
Yeah, he's like, and instead it's like, you understand that I am walking around in a suit that is just full of burn cream 24/7 because of you.
When I left you, I was but a charred corpse on a beach.
Yeah.
Now I am the master.
Yeah,
How is it, by the way, this is like a stupid nitpick, but I don't care. How is it that at the height of their power and wealth, Jedi Order gave Anakin a shittier prosthetic than Luke would get from the, like, constantly on the run rebellion?
I think he just liked that it looked badass.
Yeah, fair.
It's like, look, Terminator hand, dude.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
Padme was into it.
There's definitely technology that I like. I don't know. Obviously, you know, it's the same. It's the same, like with especially with the first season of Discovery, when everyone was reacting about like how everything just doesn't look TOS enough. It looks newer than it would 10 years later or whatever. But I feel like there are definitely moments of like, well, everything's explainable in the original trilogy as like the Republic was a better time than the Empire, and the Empire's in decline. But there are definitely times where I'm like, okay, but some of these things definitely could look better, and you didn't make them look better, and
This
they're
hand
better
could
in
have
the
just
original.
been a hand.
Yeah, the hand, the nurse droids. I have a thing about the nurse droids
They're so uncomfortable.
because they look really scary. But I'm like, okay, in my headcanon, you know, in the Republic, they had skin. Like, they had, like, a skin over them to make them look friendlier and nicer. And they just, that skin, you know, could never be repaired in the Empire. That was my headcanon. But,
well,
like,
again, also, the nurse droids were made for an alien race. That's the other thing.
God, they're just...
They weren't designed for humans.
Like how Roman statues used to be painted.
Yeah. But...
Which I honestly think would have made them look less good, but that's just me.
I think
honestly,
it's cool.
having seen recreations, it does... a lot of them do kind of look like, oh, look, we took the children to paint your own pottery day.
Yeah, well, that's why I question the recreations.
Ooh.
Because, like,
Shots
you
fired.
don't just slap one color on, you know, on like the face and be like, call it a day. Like, you know,
Oh no, there'd be shading and texturing.
shading and contouring exists to make
Yeah.
it like, the idea is that they were supposed to look lifelike.
Yeah.
And the way that they're carved, they absolutely can look like they look lifelike without the color. So
Oh yeah, and like
anyway,
it's not like these were made by scrubs. They were made by like serious artists.
yes,
Yeah.
Serious 3D printers.
yes.
That's right. Roman
Original-
3D.
the hammer and chisel, the original 3D printer.
Rep 'em.
Star Wars. Star Wars. I had a thought and it has flown away.
I recommend
That's okay.
watching the
We're-
Clone
we're-
Wars as just a better way of handling a lot of the plot and character arcs. That
Well,
I
like
We're
recommend-
going almost as long as a lightsaber battle. By the way.
Good.
Okay. Mo, like I say a lot, like a series is very different from a movie because a series has time to, you know, explore characters and build and allow the characters to have relationships. And it's not like we have to shove everything we possibly can into 2 hours and also be hyper aware that we need to make toys out of every single scene that you see in the movie.
Absolutely. Though at the same time, like, and I always, like, that's when I talk about the Clone Wars versus the movies, I absolutely use that disclaimer. But at the same time, watching the movie, I mean, I don't know about the other writers in the room here. I'm watching, I'm like, there are like 5 ways I could have rewritten that dialogue, like, and someone else could have been, you know, they're like, they had access to other screenwriters. Just George Lucas didn't want to bother. Like, or this scene could have been really good with another couple of passes at the script. And then maybe a better director, but it had neither.
I mean, that's the key. Is at the end of the day, he was going to be the director. So
Yeah.
Oh, the best one is
Editing
when
couldn't save this.
Padme and Anakin are, oh, but I love you so much. No, I love
Oh,
you
God,
so
man.
much.
Because I
And
love
I
you so
vomited.
Schloopy.
Jesus Christ!
oh, that's what I was gonna say.
Don't let him near romance.
There were two. There was one thing. Way less 3PO in this movie, and that's great. Because, like, 3PO in the original movies is kind of annoying, but, like, whatever. Prequel 3PO, I forgot how fucking aggravating he is.
Oh, God.
Like,
Every
prequel
line is a joke.
3PO needed to be just thrown under a goddamn steamroller with Jar Jar. So the
they
fact that,
definitely
like...
put Jar Jar under the steamroller, because he
Oh,
had
yeah.
a line
Yeah,
in this
he's,
film.
like, one line in this whole fucking film.
Oh, yeah, no, he farts and then says, "Excuse me," or some shit. That was his big episode 3.
Also, no, even better, there is one when Anakin gets to the theater for Sith Cirque du Soleil.
Sith du Soleil.
Anakin, like, walks by Jar Jar, who's, "Oh, hi!" It doesn't even acknowledge him, just walks right past him. It's like, dead straight.
Everyone
Maybe
would.
Anakin is the hero.
They should have given Luke to Jar Jar.
Oh no.
Considering how Anakin turns out at the end of this movie, it looks like Jar Jar's the one who needs a trip to the burn unit.
Oh!
Boy. Alright, I'll see
Wow.
myself out.
Wow.
Oh. But yeah,
Wow.
less prequel 3PO good, less Jar Jar good.
Way more pan wipes than I could
Oh, God.
fucking
Oh my god,
stand.
so many. I was so hyper aware of them this time too.
Did you-
because
There
we
was
were
an
talking
every
Did you see the
pattern.
grid wipe?
That's, yes, I was
I
about to bring
hated
that
it.
up.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Oh, there was a great quote I once saw from Ian McDiarmid about the fact that he had a lightsaber duel in this movie. Well, a couple of them. He said, I was very surprised. I'm used to just, in the other movies, I was to go like this, and he, like, held up his hands and the little claw motion, and people would fall over. So he was, even though it doesn't make sense, I feel like he was terribly excited. And you never get a great look at it, but he actually has a very nice lightsaber.
Damn it, Caitlin.
Listen, I don't know. He could kind of get it, maybe, if he wasn't so evil and twisted. Like, before he goes full ugly, he's alright. For, like, an old man.
Good for you, Caitlin.
Thanks, Liz.
You heard it here first, folks. Senator Palpatine, kind of fuckable.
I mean, like, again, not, like, on top of my list, but consider what I have to work with in the rest of this movie. I mean, that's all.
Anyway, speaking of what you had to work with, Jake wanted to work with something, I think, right?
Oh, yeah, Jake.
Oh yeah. Okay, so, so I was inspired by this movie
Oh, dear.
to write a little song.
I don't think
that I
anyone
wanna
has
share with
ever
you
said
all.
those words before. I was inspired by this movie.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. My one concern with doing this is that it might have already been done because it seems so fucking obvious as a parody song that I'm sure it's been done. So if I'm just copying somebody and you guys know, you can just cut this part out. But if it's original and interesting, anyway. So this is if you're familiar with the song Willie, Mickey, and the Duke.
Oh, I thought you were going to go, "We didn't start the fire."
No. It's I only know that song because there was an episode of The Simpsons many years ago where Homer played on a softball team.
Yeah.
And,
Okay,
and-
that song.
and
Okay, yes.
And they
You
did a
should've just said
parody.
that.
They did a parody of the song as part of that.
Now I know what song you're talking about.
So
still don't.
We watched the episode.
it goes talking baseball, talking baseball.
Batting the Seiko, Ken Griffey's grotesquely swollen jaw.
Yeah,
that
that's
song.
the Simpsons parody. So this is my. It's not very long because I only did the first verse and the chorus, but this is my
coward.
this is my song. I title it "Talkin' Star Wars." Okay, get ready. I have to
So
I have to
excited.
play the karaoke version in my ear so that I can do it
Sure,
right.
sure.
So. The Sith Lords had won it, Darth Sidious had done it, and Yoda read the prophecy all wrong. Luke and Leia had just been born, the younglings would not be mourning. Down on Coruscant, the Imperial March went on plain. We're talking Star Wars. Mace Windu and Kit Fisto talking Star Wars. Ki-Adi-Mundi, Yaddle, Plo Koon, and even Peel. They knew 'em all from Kashyyyk to Naboo, especially Obi, Qui-Gon, and the Yod. Okay, that's all I did. That's
That's what you spent 10 minutes on this morning.
that was
I
my
guarantee you, no one has done that. So I suggest
no talking Star Wars. That's obvious.
you could totally make. No, I'm pretty sure So I think you need to make a full thing, put a video up, go viral.
Okay.
Yeah, well, and honestly, too, like, if you find the karaoke track and just play that on a laptop while recording from your phone, that shit'll sound pretty good. I know, because I've done it. I mean, not with that song, but
Nice.
I think you should do it. I think you should go for it. I'd love to hear the full version.
I'll keep working on it then. I had to find a list of the members of the Jedi Council, and I found so I don't know how much more I could do because
I tried.
I ran out of council members.
There's so many.
Much Naboo about nothing.
A bunch. Like if you look between the movies, like a lot of the council members keep changing. I will say, just to be sure, I just tried looking up Talking Star Wars, and I thought I wanted to look up Tarkin. So.
Oh,
I
okay.
like Tarkin.
Baby Yoda talking plush, and I think you're in the clear here. Apparently,
Right.
Tarkin's first name is Vilhuff. That's terrible.
Excuse me?
Oh, he shows up in Clone Wars too.
Will Huff?
Oh, interesting.
Actually, we saw him briefly at the end of this with a terrible CG mask, or maybe it
I was
rubber.
wondering if that was supposed to be him
It's
with the
it's
with
supposed
the
to be
hairline,
Tarkin, and
cheekbones.
it's so bad.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yeah. Well, that was genuinely fucking delightful, and I want more. And I'm
Well,
pretty
thank
sure
you.
no one else
Thank
has
you
done it.
thank you for listening to my my wonderful song.
For a second, I
Um,
thought you were talking about the movie, and I was appalled, and then I realized
Yeah,
No,
that was
no.
not
Song
delightful.
was
That was
absolutely-
anything but delightful. This film.
The delight is tearing it apart with Liz.
Yes. And, again, if like I said before we were recording, a nice way to clean the palate is just to look up any of the many Robot Chicken sketches on YouTube.
Just any of them, or ones pertaining to this movie?
Both. I mean, I'd say start with the ones that pertain to this movie, because there actually is a good one that mocks the whole, like, Obi-Wan leaving him there to burn thing. There's a great Uriel Poof one, which is why that is our name on Zoom right now. Yeah. Or, watch Clone Wars, like Liz said.
Yeah, I
I
I
definitely
might do
want
that.
to.
I might go and throw money at Disney Plus and finally just have all this shit myself.
I will say the movie that kind of kicks it off, you got to kind of grit your teeth through, but the show itself is better.
The show is
There's a
much-
movie Clone Wars?
That's
Yeah.
what started. There was a movie that I think was supposed to originally just be a TV movie, but they released it in theaters instead.
Yeah, it was originally released on Cartoon Network. It was a whole event on Cartoon Network at the time.
Oh, snap.
Yeah, and you do kind of have to watch it because it does establish some shit that is important later. But it's about rescuing a baby hut. There's a lot of fart jokes. Just grit your teeth, it gets better.
Yeah, that one was it's definitely more child oriented.
And isn't the showrunner the guy that runs The Mandalorian?
Yes, which is why going back and watching Clone Wars after having seen The Mandalorian, I was like, oh, okay, so this originated here, and you decided to bring it into The Mandalorian. Okay, interesting.
Yep.
Ahsoka's the more obvious one that everyone was freaking out about, but there were other little character moments and plot points and stuff.
Yeah.
Or even in what was it in Rogue One? Forrest Whitaker's character originates in Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Saw Gerrera.
Oh.
That's it.
Yes, there we go. I always forget his name.
I was like, it's something right on the nose, because at least in the original appearances in the Clone Wars, I'm like, oh, they're like an Afro-Latino sort of mixed coded character. All right.
He
I'll take
also
it.
shows up in Fallen Order, actually.
Oh.
Briefly, yeah.
All right. Well, some of us have to get on it away from here and go to the fish
That's
Cirque du
true.
Soleil.
Yes. So,
Well, thank you for joining us for Star to Steer Her By, Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. If you like what you heard and you want to hear more, or if you like what you heard and you think to yourself, I'd love to know what they think about Star Trek. Good news. That's usually what we talk about. We'll be returning to Star Trek in just a couple weeks. But next week, we're going to talk about Star Trek episode... Star Wars... Nope. Wow, nope. That was not on purpose. Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens?
Yeah,
Yep.
it's the last Star Wars we still have to cover.
Yeah. And sort of a weird going
Oh, I should have joined
Weirdly-
you guys for that one.
backwards and all over the place. So yeah, we'll talk about that shit. Get to meet all our friends, Ray and Poe Dameron and Finn and BB-8, and yeah, it's gonna be a time. It's gonna happen. And in the meantime,
Princess Leia's in that movie.
good old Princess Leia.
Han,
And Han
our
Solo
buddy.
and Chewbacca. Oh god, and Kylo Ren. How could I forget?
Oh, yeah.
Our best friend.
Kylo Ben.
Yeah, the guy that looks like those
Kylo
cats.
friend.
Kylo friend. Ah. And his epic temper tantrum is in this episode. Oh, and we get to see Daniel Craig dressed as a stormtrooper.
Yep.
Everything is gonna be. It's gonna all be coming up fucking
Captain
roses.
Plasma. Captain
Yep.
Plasma's in this one.
Yay.
Yep, Captain Plasma.
Underused.
So much.
God, and then fucking junked. Literally, such
Oh,
bullshit.
and what's
What a fucking-
I'm the
imagine.
spy? What's that guy's name?
Oh, Hux.
Hux. Lieutenant
Who's
Huxley.
Hux?
He's the one that
the
in the
ginger.
third movie goes, "I'm the spy."
Like, yeah, we all knew Hux.
Oh, right, Hux, the little ginger Nazi. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Right. Yeah, so we'll do that. In the meantime, though, if you, if this podcast is like us, the only thing you have going on in your life, and you need something between weeks, aside from a humongous backlog wherein we've talked about all the Star Treks from the original series up through Deep Space Nine, including the animated series.
Oh, wow.
Which-
How did we do that?
Star Trek
Because we hate ourselves
refused
so
to
much.
acknowledge during their recent 55th anniversary
Son
thing.
bitch.
Like, they
Aw.
highlighted literally every series, not TAS.
Yet they
Didn't
keep
even,
making
like,
references to it in lower decks.
So many.
That's so the fans can wank.
Well, or so they can try to get the stupid children into it, maybe. I don't know. Actually, no. Lower Decks isn't for stupid children, is it?
No.
No.
No,
All right.
Lower Decks just makes fun of those aspects
It's for
of the animated
stupid
series.
adults.
It's a long sex scene.
I don't know. There's a BEM thing in it. Anyway, you can check out our old episodes, or you can follow us on Facebook, where you can find us by searching for A Star to Steer Her By. We are on Twitter and Tumblr at SSHB Podcast. You can visit our website, www.sshbpodcast.com. Oh, and I forgot to mention that you can find the podcast itself where all fine podcasts are sold. That is to say Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify, I think I didn't say. Yeah, so check that out. Give us a subscribe, give us a 5-star rating, maybe if you feel up to it. But definitely join us next week. We'll get through this Star Wars thing together.
Yeah, we're going out with a bang for a big Star Wars finale.
Remember in the beginning when this sort of sounded like a fun idea to do these movies? Because now it just really feels like
torture.
fucking homework. But it'll all be over
I don't
soon,
know why
thank
you guys did this
Jesus.
in the first place.
Because we had done we'd been doing them as they came out in theaters and realized, we should do all of them.
And they're done doing that. They're not
No,
coming out in
no.
theaters anymore for the time being, so...
That's probably for the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely is, yeah.
Do the series. The series are where it's at. More Mando.
It's incredible to think that they even ever made the sequels series, considering how shit the prequel series was. Like,
Money.
No, we'll get into that next week.
how does that even happen?
Money,
Well, I know, but-
money.
Money!
Nice, we're all beautiful. This has been Caitlin.
This has been Jake.
This has been Uriel Poof.
This has been Ames.
Oh, and this is Liz.
And Liz! Thanks for coming, Liz.
Thanks for having
Thanks
me
for-
along for this cinematic masterpiece.
Give us your best Vader no, Liz.
No.